All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Jillian O'Donnell. I am a secondary education and English double major, and today we're going to be talking about Drugs and Behavior Chapter 1, which is about drug use. So we're going to start with the section titled Use is Not Abuse. So it starts out saying that many people drink alcohol in ways that do not cause problems for them or their families. However, there are about 10% of drinkers that do have significant problems, which include missing work due to a hangover or having multiple arrests for driving under the influence, and they end up seeking help for it. Some even require treatment for alcohol dependence. So this same principle applies to all drugs. So then they go into illicit drugs, and marijuana is the most common type. So the most users fall under recreational, social, or casual users. The book also included that the last 3 U.S. presidents and a member of the Supreme Court, at least one of them, have admitted to smoking marijuana on occasion, and only a small fraction of those that use marijuana seek treatment for the inability to quit without help. Many drugs that are portrayed as instant addictors, especially through the media, such as heroin, crack cocaine, and methamphetamine. Many of those who use them do not say that claim is true at all. It's more of a slow burn, which leads to the substance abuse central question. Why do some people develop serious problems while most people avoid them? All right, so then we go to the next section. Scroll down here. So this section is titled, Every Drug Has Multiple Effects. Even though a user may be taking a drug to produce one effect, such as feeling high, relaxation, or alertness, every psychoactive drug acts at multiple sites, including the brain and other internal organs. Because of this, relaxation may also come with a slower reaction time. Or alertness might be produced with an increase in heart rate, depending on the drug. So then we move on to amount matters. So large or frequent drug usage, or using the drug incorrectly so that it reaches the brain quicker, can create many more times problematic effects. The higher the concentration, the higher the effect. So this includes reaction times and increased heart rate that we talked about in the section above. So an example of this is alcohol. So most people who take low doses, you mostly experience talkativeness or slower reaction times, but the higher dose that you take, you'll see that you'll begin to, instead of being talkative, your speech will be slurred, you'll have difficulty walking, and it could get to the point where you become unconscious if you take enough of the drug, which can lead to a myriad of different side effects. So then we move on to the psychoactive drug effects are powerfully influenced by the user's history and expectations. So experienced users may react differently than new users and are more likely to report positive effects of the drug due to prior use. So, for example, marijuana and alcohol frequent users show less disruption on a driving simulator test because they're used to how they function under it. So even those who never used the drug have an idea of what they can expect from its use. So for an example, if you read a bottle of Advil, you'll be able to see all the side effects of the medication. And some of them are minor and some of them are major. So people may fear one of the worst possibilities, nausea, vomiting, even death, as opposed to not knowing anything at all about it. So the more someone, this is an example as well, the more someone believes drinking alcohol will make them social, the more sociable they'll become while taking that drug. So then we move on to the section, drugs per se are not good or bad. So there are no such thing as bad drugs, but rather bad behavior when the drug is being used by the person. So when used carefully, any drug could produce some positive effect. For an example, heroin can be used as a painkiller. It actually is used in some countries. Cocaine can be used as a local anesthetic, even in the United States, and methamphetamine can be used to treat both obesity and ADHD. So it is important to note that the abuse of any of these drugs can produce negative effects, which is more commonly seen and portrayed. It is wrong to solely blame the drug for the negative effects it has on the user. When blaming only the substance, we then kind of ignore all of the factors that led to the abuse of the drug and instead try to eliminate the substance immediately without addressing any of the other factors. And that can cause problems on its own. So then the book lists some key terms, so we're just going to go over that. So firstly, we have drug, and that is any substance, natural or artificial, other than food, that by its chemical nature alters structure or function in the living organism. And then we have illicit drug, a drug that is unlawful to possess or use that does not include alcohol or tobacco, by the way. Then we have deviant drug use that is not common within a social group and that is disapproved by the majority, causing members of the group to take corrective action when it occurs. And next is drug misuse, and that is the use of prescribed drugs in greater amounts than or for purposes other than those prescribed by a physician or dentist. And then we have abuse. This is the use of a substance in a manner, amount, or situation such that the drug use causes problems or greatly increases the chances of those problems occurring. And then we have addiction. Now this is in reference to only substance use. There are different terms for addiction in other contexts as well. So this definition is cases in which people have struggled to control their use and have suffered serious negative consequences from that use. And lastly, we have dependence. And that is a state in which the individual uses the drug so frequently and consistently that it appears it would be difficult for the person to get along without the drug. So after those terms, we go to the next section titled, How Did We Get Here? So the book says that a truly drug-free society has never existed, even from the beginning of humans. So we've seen early examples of psychoactives being used to enhance spiritual ceremonies or to get rid of bad spirits. These two worlds were so interconnected that shamans or medicine men and priests were often one and the same or worked hand in hand. Drugs that are of abuse and of recreation, so for example caffeine, alcohol, nicotine, and marijuana, were used early on as treatments for differing illnesses. And nowadays they're kind of trivial and easily accessible. So drugs also open the door for trade. So they give examples of the opium trade in China, tobacco in America, etc., etc. And then we move on to the development of legal pharmaceuticals led to huge developments and advances such as vaccines. So those curb diseases such as smallpox, which would decimate populations. And then we have antibiotics, which helped combat otherwise deadly diseases and infections. And then other advances such as birth control in the 1960s allowed women to pursue goals of education and careers. And then drugs were also developed to combat various mental health disorders, and the book does give examples of, say, schizophrenia. So the difference now being that people can now take drugs for uses other than illnesses. And then we also have to talk about the war on drugs, which was a government attempt to limit access to drugs deemed too dangerous. So then it didn't stop people from taking them. It actually led to drugs being used in an unregulated fashion, which caused more issues. Okay, so I covered pages 1 through 7 of the first chapter, which is about a quarter. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. All right, bye.